Colin Davidson was the kind of person who could fix almost anything. He first trained as an electrician and spent years working in that field, but along the way, he also picked up many other useful skills. So, when a customer mentioned a problem with her chimney, Colin didn't hesitate to offer his help. At first, he was only asked to fix an electrical fault in the elderly woman's main fuse box. But while he was working, they chatted, and she told him that her open fireplace had been filling her house with smoke lately, and she assumed something was probably blocking it. The chimney. Colin stuck his head inside to take a look, and immediately saw that no light was coming through. Whatever was there, the chimney was completely blocked. Colin tilted his head and grabbed some tools from his car, then climbed onto the roof with his ladder. He took his longest rod and started pushing it down the chimney, hoping he could dislodge whatever was stuck. After several tries, Colin finally struck something solid and pushed it loose. He heard it fall down the chimney and land in the empty fireplace below. Satisfied, he went down to see what was in the fireplace. There was a large bowl of charred trash clumped together. It must have been stuck there for a while, with smoke leaking out at first, before soot built up around it and blocked everything. Colin cleaned the area and packed up his tools, saying goodbye to the very grateful woman before heading back to his car. He always made sure to leave his work neat and tidy. After arriving home, Colin unloaded his equipment and tossed the dirty trash into the garage garbage bin. He organizes things, getting everything ready for another workday. Translation: Nancy. It was definitely a strange discovery, and even though Colin knew a lot of things, old maps weren't one of them. If he wanted answers, he would need help from someone who knew more about this kind of thing. Fortunately, Colin had an old friend named Reji who worked as a historian at a museum not far away. He hadn't seen him in a few months, but if anyone could solve this mystery, it would be Reji. Colin headed to the museum, filled with excitement, and handed the mysterious map to his friend. Reji moved to his work table, and as he carefully opened it, he let out a small sigh. He leaned in, curious, brushing soot off the surface. The more Reji studied the map, the wider his eyes grew. It was clear he was seeing something truly special. Colin, who was starting to feel a bit impatient, asked what he was looking at, but Reji remained completely focused and said nothing. With even more care now, Reji removed more of the soot and traced the old lines and markings. With his eyes, he opened his mouth, but still didn't say a word. Colin finally tapped him on the shoulder, breaking the heavy silence, and asked again what Reji had found. Reji shook his head and said he wasn't ready to say until he was completely sure. Although Colin felt a bit frustrated, he agreed to leave the map with Reji for a few days to do some research. While he waited to hear from Reji, Colin kept himself busy with his own research. He spent hours online. He searched through hundreds, maybe thousands of old maps. He saw modern maps, printed maps, hand-drawn maps, and even maps that looked like they belonged to pirates, but none of them looked like the map he pulled out of that chimney. The mystery grew in his mind. Days later, the call came from Reji, still sounding breathless with excitement. He told Colin to come to the museum right away. He had news. Colin jumped into his car and headed straight there. All the way, Colin's mind was racing. Part of him was worried that maybe it wasn't anything important after all, and maybe Reji was just joking with him. But as soon as he entered the museum and saw the amazed and delighted look on his friend's face, he knew that something big was coming. Reji explained that the map Colin had found was actually a priceless historical piece, dating back to the 17th century, and it was hand-drawn by the famous Dutch artist Gerard van Honthorst. This wasn't just any map. There were no other copies like it anywhere in the world. Colin asked Reji if he was absolutely sure. Reji smiled and nodded, pointing out many small details that proved it beyond any doubt. It was an incredible discovery, but there was one mystery they couldn't solve. How did the map end up inside that chimney in the first place? That secret will probably remain hidden forever. What they did know is that in the right condition, specialists would pay a fortune for it. Reji and his team carefully restored the map, piece by piece, until it looked brand new. They did an amazing job. In the end, the map was put up for auction and sold for millions of dollars. Colin couldn't believe it. Overnight, his life changed. He was now richer than he had ever dreamed. But every now and then, Colin would remember and smile. If he hadn't followed his gut feeling, that valuable map would have ended up in the trash, lost forever.